The markets are free falling. We are in absolute disarray as everything has turned terribly red. We're going to be going through all of that, where the bottom could be found, and much more today on Money Never Sleeps.
Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties.
Can you hear me now? My internet, that whole thing was an absolute disaster. God bless it. All right. Thanks for joining us today. If you haven't yet, you're new here, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, get in on the conversation. Nothing we say is financial advice. Do your own research. Kev, holy shit. The only thing worse than my internet connection right now is the state of the markets. We are seeing Bitcoin under 78K, ETH approaching 1,800, Sol under 120. Let's go to TradFi. Things get better over there. The NASDAQ down 880 points right now. Dow down over 1,000. S&P down, closing in on 200. Let's look at some individual stocks for a second. Coinbase under 180, down 17% on the day. Let's see what else we got. Apple down almost 6%. Google down 5.5%. Meta down 5.5%. Nvidia down almost 6%, closing in on $100. Tesla down 15% on the day, $40 per share. From its highs of just 2 months ago, Tesla's now down about 50%. So things are looking real shitty out there. But you know what that means? We get a chance to buy at lower prices. No, we are not hosting this on X. Thank you, Chris. Things are an absolute – and X going down on the day that the markets are crashing. I don't know if it was going down. It sounds like it was some attack. I don't know. It is fucking brutal out in the streets right now, Kevin. I've been talking enough. How are you doing, buddy?
You know, you're making me bullish every second of that intro, bro. Here's the thing. I'm feeling great about the markets. Obviously, I'm a little upset I sold my VIX position on Friday as opposed to today. But again, the VIX, like I texted you in house earlier, very weird here. There's a lot of weird things in this market. I think it's a very much we're going to screw everyone in every direction before we get to the actual bottom. We'll talk about where the bottom is soon. But I will say this about bottoms usually. They're formed by everyone selling. Right? That's what forms the bottom. There's no sellers left. There's a lot of fucking selling today, guys. The S&P hasn't had this big of a move since August 5th, which was the yen carry trade unwind. The interesting thing is, though, the dollar's getting stronger, which helps that kind of yen carry trade. So there's so many things that are just like off the walls crazy here. The only thing I know is certain is that Trump probably wants these markets to crash. And I say probably just because, I don't want to get in charge for anything that could or could not be true. But this market looks like this guy 100% is looking at the charts and says, nah, let's just fucking make
He ain't looking at shit. He's out there golfing right now. He's not looking at, he's out there working on his short game, not giving up. He got out with Trump. He made billions on Trump coin. He's doing just fine. He kept his name out of the Epstein dossier. He's doing just fine.
He's trying to crash this market, though, 100%. Him and Besant, they're trying to get all this money back into the treasuries, and they're trying to get Powell to start cutting rates. It's a game of chicken. Nothing's broken yet. Keyword is yet. But this is a crazy fucking day. The S&P is down today 3.36%. It's almost down 200 points today. What the fuck?
This is, for transparency, I'm buying. Like I've already put in some buy orders. I've been sitting on capital for a while, and now is a spot where I feel comfortable putting, I think I put in like 20% of the cash I have back into the market today. And I'll just look for, I'm not gonna hit the bottom perfectly. Yeah, it is the worst game of chicken ever. Jesus Christ. It's just Powell and Trump. Maybe they'll just run headfirst into each other and we can all just move on with our lives. But, well, everyone is, this is like, we've talked about this before because we've been doing this show for a while now, but like this is when I feel at my best is when everyone else is panicking and shit is hitting the fan. Like this is when I am ready to go.
Yep.
When everything is up and everyone seems like it's too rosy and everything's fantastic, I get uncomfortable there. But now let's do the goddamn thing. Let's find the bottom and let's make fucking money.
All right, let's pull up the S&P then, just because I think that's the most important index.
Dude, Chris Hoddle could not be more right. Being out of town, Chris, buckle the fuck up because both Kevin and I are going out of town this weekend, so things could get real. If history repeats itself, things could get real nasty.
Yeah, and here's
all
the
right.
thing.
Go ahead. Things are so slow right here.
Here is the thing. I do think that the market's going to have another capitulation crash. This dotted line down here around 53.37. I think that's where it kind of bottoms out. That's my opinion. Doesn't mean that it has to come true. But this move that we've gotten today is such a big move. I'm going to pull this up on the hourly, and I mean, you can see it into the close. I was texting you in house. I'm like, yeah, this thing's going to reverse. Fuck, I was wrong. It's going to reverse if, this is the bottom for a local bottom here. But we've kind of just kept pushing. We broke out of this channel. We went back into it, broke under it, back into it. This is on the hourly too for the S&P. My opinion, we probably go back into it. Tomorrow or whatever. I think there's a lot of data that's coming out this week. This could be a front run of just like afraid of recession fears, afraid of the data that's coming out, getting ahead of it. The trend is obviously to the downside. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're a fucking liar. But that doesn't mean that there is still a bounce. The market's going to screw you over in every which way it possibly can, right? I'm looking here. There's tons of gaps. There's a gap here all the way up to 58.27. There's a gap here at 57.39. There's even some gaps up here. I don't know if it has the strength given where I think it's going to move up, but I do think that there is a bounce that is likely to come. Didn't come today, but the thing, like I said, with the bottoms of markets, they kind of happen when everyone sells. Everyone right now is kind of capitulating. If Twitter's working, if Twitter was working earlier, you probably would have seen everyone just crying. Just real-time screenshots of their portfolios just dropping, 20% on the hourly chart. But here, I'm looking at this, looking over here to where we have some support in the past. We're at a pretty solid level support range in this area from previous times, like obviously July of 2024. Back here, even so in September of last year. It's just this market can't go down nonstop the entire time, just like it couldn't go up forever. I know that's kind of a contradictory statement for me to be saying, but with OPEX next week, I think that the window for volatility probably is either going to take off in a rapid succession in the next few days, or it's going to wait till after OPEX. Right now, I feel like there's a lot of people, and I shared this on Twitter yesterday, there's a lot of people who are going max short. I showed the funding rates yesterday on Bitcoin. Everyone is making money on the shorts. Everyone is, they're negative funding rates. What do we know about negative funding rates? Usually pushes to the upside at some point. They wait till they build up a big enough short position and they screw everyone by going long. Let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is one that, I really think that this is the 2000 AI, this is the 2000.com bubble. This is the AI.com bubble, essentially. That's why we're seeing this just absolutely pull the market down drastically. But yeah, this is disgusting. I have no words for this. I don't think it's going to get much better.
It's great. Here's the thing. If you zoom out on this, it only looks like it's going to get worse because there's so much. Like if you look at the monthly on the NASDAQ and you see where we are compared to like a more reasonable historic trend line, there's just so much room for this thing to go down. Look at that. Like, look at how much it's gone up over the last few years at an unsustainable pace. Like, this thing has a lot. Like, I don't know. I think that we could be in for a lot more pain.
If you want bearish me to tell you where we probably might be next year, we could cut the NASDAQ in half entirely. That's just my opinion. There's just a lot of things that are coming up.
I'm not going to go that crazy. But I mean, I think a 30% drawdown is much more realistic.
I think we can get to 10K. Worst case scenario,
anything's
10K.
possible.
I do think the 50 moving average is probably going to come down considerably. So somewhere between like 12 to 15K is probably more likely where we could go. But I do think that if the AI bubble and the concentration and the yen carry trade and all these things are just lining up, there is a good chance that tech just has a shitty 5 years ahead of itself. That being said, some of those lows.
One thing I want to
go ahead.
Sorry, one thing I want to see tonight is what the crypto ETF outflows look like today. Like the amount of people who got in near the top and are panicking because they're not accustomed to these big of swings. Like, are they selling, or are people using it? Like, I'm not really sure, because I don't know. You know, most crypto people, they either just hold Bitcoin or they're not really going to do anything here. But does the more old money, who maybe they wet their beak on Bitcoin a little bit, like, are they shitting themselves and are they selling here? That to me, I think is gonna be interesting to find out in a few hours.
Absolutely. And looking at
go back to what you were saying.
For sure. Looking at the Dow Jones, we're looking at utility stocks, the real economy, not down nearly as bad as the others, right? It's down 2.75%. The other ones are down relatively 3.5 and 4.7% today. Again, market concentration. It's a huge, huge problem. Looking at this, though, we had a double top. This was a perfect sign for the top. We kind of said that we would do that back in, like, what was that? I guess February or so, when it started to roll over a little bit. But now we're between the 50 and the 200. Actually, we're below the 200 now on this. Looking at other things that are going to be important. The VIX, this is where things get really weird, in my opinion, is that, yes, we're breaking out here. We're at 29.33. We've kind of had this really weird move to the upside. Usually the VIX is just shoot straight up, right? I think a lot of people hedge this move. I think a lot of people bought, VIX calls, and that's why we're seeing the VIX somewhat compressed as the market's dropping significantly. Don't get me wrong, the VIX is up 25% today. However, August 5th, the VIX was up, 64%? 65%. That was because of the yen carry trade unwind. And don't get me wrong, that was only where it closed. Where it actually was somewhere like 250%. Right? With the fact that we are seeing a bigger drawdown in the market today, or equivalent for a single day, see where we were in August 5th, and the VIX is only at 29.19, and it's barely overbought. Don't get me wrong, it could shoot up from overbought. It could break out of this channel 100%, tomorrow if the yen carry trade unwinds. The problem I have with it is that a lot of people are in the money, and a lot of people are making money to the downside. And to be honest, I don't think the market likes when people make money, especially when it's everyone's, positioned one way or the other. So I think that this market is going to be very volatile in the next 2 weeks leading into OPEX. I also think that after OPEX is going to get pretty bad. And, maybe that's where we have someone step in and say, we're going to calm the markets with an emergency rate cut, or they're going to do some type of stealth QE via repo that just kind of juices the markets for a little bit. But this right here, everyone is making money. That gives me fear. I think the market is going to see some type of vol crushing event leading into OPEX, and maybe it picks up after. Just seems like the windows are directly after OPEX for it to pump. Same thing happens in August after the July OPEX. So that's my kind of view of what's going on here. Like I said, I'm fairly bullish. I think the bottom has been put in. It looks like the market is actually getting bought up a little bit down here. Maybe we called the bottom in real time. We'll find out tomorrow. But I think that the market is definitely too positioned to one side or the other. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some type of a bounce across TradFi. Now for crypto, I don't know about that, guys. Crypto just looks like it's in a shitty place. I don't think you disagree with me, do you? Let me see. I pull it up. I don't even hear a word you're saying, bro.
Looks real bad. My internet is shit. This is pissing me off.
Don't trade on your internet today. Go to like a coffee shop or something. You'll miss limits. Let's go BTC here. Yeah, I mean, look, it's 78K. We were talking about 76K forever, and it's probably gonna hit it. It's very, very close. And with the market just being so juiced to the downside, we actually are. I think we're gonna go below it then too. I don't think we're gonna I think we might go a little bit below the 76K, the 77K we're talking about. Worst case scenario. I mean, I think we'll get there eventually, like in the next 4 or 5 weeks. But when I look at this here, maybe we don't stop at 76K. I do think a bounce is coming. I just don't know if it's going to stop there, or if it's going to stop a little bit lower around 74K. Both are very big levels of support, 74K more so. But that would be an entire retracement of this move here from what is this? What day is this? November. So right after the election. So the entire election pump would be gone. I also saw a stat somewhere where it was like 9 months worth of gains lost in 12 trading days. And that was for TradFi. It's fucking bleak, but you kind of just have to be, cool here. I'm not too worried either way. If the market decides to dump more, I'm just going to buy things that I believe in. And if it decides to rally hard, well, then I'll just get back. It sounded like I was Canadian there for a second. I assure you, I'm not converting. Just because they got a new PM, which also should kind of go wild for the markets too. They shouldn't like that as well. That being said, I don't think the problem here is, I don't even know what the fuck I was saying. I got Canadian. If the market rallies here, I'm going to get back into the VIX trade. If it doesn't, well, then I'm just going to wait till the bottom, because I do think that the bottom is fairly close in a lot of these things. Today is a really good move to the downside. I don't know if this is pure capitulation. I think we need a big event that's like, okay, that's it. Yen carry trade unwind. Some bank goes under in a big market. Roaring Kitty tweets something that's extremely bullish, something like that along those lines that would just absolutely just shoot this market in, to the downside like that.
Can you hear me at all? Is this coming through?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay. It's going to take a fuck lot more than Roaring Kitty to save this goddamn market. It looks like crypto's trying to bounce a little bit here. I don't know if it's going to hold. Bitcoin, it's already coming back down towards 78. Yeah, man. It's bleak. We will make it through this. Maybe this time it's longer than we expected, but it's yeah. The sooner we can just get to the bottom and people can capitulate and just wipe all this bullshit out, the better, in my opinion.
I do want to talk about the yen carry trade, because I think that is going to be something we'll be talking about, or at least a lot of people will be talking about soon enough. Looking at this, I don't think the levels from August of last year are the same levels now. I think we did get a bit of an unwind. Doesn't mean that they didn't pile back in, but they might have piled in a lot higher, right? That's the other thing. So we have to question, at what point is there a problem? It's been kind of this slow unwind since January 15th or so. So right before Trump took office, seeing it come down. Is this what I think it is on the? No, we got one more trading day probably before we get this death cross. And
yeah,
it's gonna be fun, guys, because the last time we got it, obviously, well, that was after the carry trade. But the reason I'm bringing this up here is it's not necessarily the level, it's how fast we get to a certain level, right? We could see that in July and August, that thing just got strong as shit out of nowhere. If you start seeing that rapid decline that quick, then we have a problem. I don't think, like, if we get to 140 and it's over 2-3 months, not necessarily a problem. We get to 140 in a matter of 3-4 trading days, that's a big problem. That's kind of what we're waiting to see. And I think Japan is going to keep printing to save its market, to prop it up. We saw it last night in the Nikkei that they opened up lower and then they closed higher. I thought that's what we were going to see in the US markets today. We didn't, but this is still a big problem. We're very close to breaking this. Maybe we get a retest up here. And the only reason I think we get a retest up here around 148, which is because the DXY, I think, is about to bottom. A lot of people were saying that the DXY is going a lot lower. I think it's made its move. I think it's corrected, and I think we're going to see higher dollar strength moving forward. Why is that? Well, we have the tariffs. The other thing is, too, this market's fucking going down nonstop, so the money's got to go somewhere. The US dollar, right? And if we continue to expect more of a sell-off, the dollar is just going to get stronger. That's just kind of the way we've always talked about it. So I can see the dollar on this parabolic curve right here. I pulled it up. Just keep moving to the upside. I mean, we could, by the end of this market in, say, I don't know exactly when, but I think we could be back at this 114 level if the market continues at this rate and the dollar gets strong once again. Because if we look at where the dollar is on the daily, it's completely oversold. If we go to the weekly, completely oversold. And that does not bode well for stocks if the dollar continues to get stronger. It's had a weird few weeks there because everyone's trying to readjust with Trump and everything coming in. Looking at this now, I think we are seeing a perfect setup for, first off, the yen to have a little bit of relief, bottoming out here at the dollar. But eventually we're going to see it strengthen, against the dollar and in the short term, and that's going to be very problematic. I think it's going to lose strength going into this major crash, maybe in September, October this year. Right now, it's the short term that's going to be most important. So a lot of stuff to be looking at. I still think there's a lot of value out there right now too. GameStop's down, 6% today. FFIE switched its ticker to FFAI, AI. So we got that in there for an electric vehicle car company that doesn't make cars. Down 10% today. I bought some of that just because it's a fucking trade. So I don't know. I'm not scared by anything that we're seeing today. I think this is just we were prepared.
My internet. God damn it. God damn it.
It's okay. We made it through.
We made it through. Is Fartcoin a buy? I think Fartcoin, not yet, but I think Fartcoin for a dime. You might have me in there. Fartcoin goes down another 50%. I'll take it. I'll take, it'll come back. Farts are always going to be funny. For the rest of time, farts are going to be funny.
Farts are going to be funny. Maybe that's it.
Come on. You're at home. You hear your dad rip a fart. You laugh. Like one of your buddies rips a fart. It's funny. Farts are funny. Hot air rises. There we go.
I don't know if they'll save us.
Yeah, man. I've been talking this for 18 months.
Oh, know what?
God. We've been doing this for 18 months. Woo!
Yeah, fuck it.
18 months, my internet is still shit.
Maybe there is no rally coming. Maybe it's just going straight to 3,600.
There is no bounce. I love you.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Buckle up, Buttercup. Hold on to your butts. We need that. I wish we had that for a drop. If we could get Sam Jackson from Jurassic Park, hold on to your butts for a drop, that'd be the best. Not the farts, says Chris Hoddle. All right, that's going to do it. I've had enough of looking at the charts and all the red. Here, mate, it's only 1:23 in the afternoon. I could just go pour myself a drink and just cry looking at my portfolio going down. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, share us out on social media, any of those things. We're back on Wednesday for our last show of the week before Kevin and I travel, which means the apocalypse is coming. So stay safe out there. All the best of luck. Love you guys, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Take care, everyone.